Grab our scooper. And you can see there's a little bit of water down in there. So double check your scooper to strain any water out. And then you can shake your hand off in there and wipe off the bottom of the scooper so you don't get grain all over. So we're trying to keep this place cleaned up so it's nicer. So that didn't quite get it, but that's about 2 pounds. So about half of what you just had. Okay, that was a dry one. So we go like so. And just kind of slowly add it so you don't put too much, because then it takes more time to take some out and double check it. So I like to go about 3 pounds 1 ounce, but 3 pounds is just fine. Then we take one of these trays, stack those over there like so. I usually put the holes up front because there's a sticker. I'll take this bucket. I kind of just dump it down the middle. I hope you're able to see all this. I'll try to make it just so. Then I wipe out all the grain that I can out of there. And then set it back on the scale. And you take your hand and evenly spread it over this tray as best as possible. No, it will never be perfect. So then you take that tray. These are the really thin ones, so you want to put your hand in the middle so don't crack on us, because it's going to be a chore to get some more of these trays besides the money. And I'm hoping to get my hands on the thicker trays like this one. See, there's that, or there's that. Oh, see? Ay, cricky. See, that's what you don't do. Stinking. Hey, hey. See? Well, at least it's on video. You see what not to do. So I think I ordered 90 trays last time, and it cost us about $110. That's with shipping. So that's definitely what you don't want to do. So then, when you want to try to get all the water to one end, we're still got to modify this more. Me and Kai already have plans. You pick up on this handle and you set up here, and that will get all the water down to this end. And then you have a better chance of getting a scoop of wheat without water. So, and then you can just kind of push the wheat up to the high end, and the water will puddle down there. So, anyways, let's keep going. And that full scoop there is going to be really close to 3 pounds. Let's wipe some of that off. So if you can see that, it's really going to be really close. Let's see how much we come up with. Okay, we're pushing 3 pounds almost. Okay, we're at 3 pounds 1 ounce right there. So that's how much was left in there. So the closer you can get to doing it all in excuse me, 1 scoop, it will help go faster. Because I used to spend, before we got this, if you've seen the other videos before this, you spend an hour and a half to hour and 45 minutes every morning. That's getting the grain ready, cutting the fodder, filling up the reservoirs with clean water, everything. So this one's already cracked right there, so we've got to be extra careful. So, and then as you see the stickers here, that means the drain holes are here. You want to make sure the holes are going to land probably about 1 inch or so right inside the bottom tray below. And you kind of eyeball the top tray up there and make sure. It's pretty much common sense, but at the same time, if the trays leak straight down to the floor, then we have a mess. So these harder trays, I'll have to show you since I'm not using any today. We'll take this one for instance. they all have a little white mark right there. And we have holes you could fill or see across the front. So that little white mark tells you that's the front of the tray. So you always want the front of the tray at the down angle, like so, and so it could drip into the next tray we're going to put there. So that's how you tell the difference between the trays as far as the front. Okay, so on to the next tray, and this might be taking me a little bit longer because I'm trying to show you more or explain it to you. And the purpose of this video is kind of a training video for other family members that I will be helping out here. Because my dad's wife Jolene and my dad both are trying to help out, since the other partner, John, my brother, needed to go out of state to do some work to be able to pay his bills, because obviously this isn't making any money yet. So my other physical hands-on partner's not around right now. Hoping he'll be back to join us as soon as possible, but we'll keep on plucking away. So anyways, and then grab that tray carefully, grab it in the middle, makes it kind of easy. Look like you're a waiter or waitress for pigs. Ho ho ho. So but doing this can be tedious, but the food cost that it saves is incredible. And I think we need to replace that tray. It's one of these trays that was allowing the water to leak out over the floor. So we have a Ty came over last night about 6 o'clock in the evening when the pumps went off, because they go off every 6 hours for 5 minutes. And we're trying to make sure the trays are lined up so we keep the water mess off the floor. And that's one of the only ways to do it. So I'm thinking I might try to change the times for the watering so that it could be done. A little bit too much there. So the water can go off just after I put these trays on the racks. And that way I can be here to watch where the trays are lined up and keep the water off the floor. Because when you put these new trays on there, they might not be perfectly lined up for the water. So okay, I believe this is number 3. Nope, this is number 4. 4 more to go. Okay, why I got that one done. I'm going to show you the process for this. So we got this gray water line, that's a water hose, into this reservoir down here. You can see how it's yellow, dingy. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn on the water to, because it's low right now. It's not too low, but it's a little bit low. So I'm going to turn the water so it can start filling up with clean. Then I'm going to turn on the pump to start pumping out the dirty water. So eventually we'll have it all circulated to be clean water down there. Anyways, I'm going to turn on this light so I can show you inside here. This is a water heater room in here. So here's the black hose right here. That's the drain from the pumps. Here's the cold water knob. So we want to turn that. Depending on how fast the pumps pump, you got to be careful not to have this water too much, or you'll end up overflowing. So I usually turn on about a quarter. It'll go all the way on with a quarter turn. So I usually go about a half of a quarter or an eighth to start filling it up. So then we come in here. This is going to be the tricky part. We have to unplug this pump over here once we turn this on so it doesn't start watering that grain. And we got to turn this pump on to start sucking out. So first off, if we're going to do this tray first, we have to unplug the other side and set the cord like so. So that's on. So the timer's on auto. There's highlighted words right above the word auto on underneath the timer. You got to open up the drain valve that goes down into the drain so it can go that way. Then you got to close this top one so it doesn't go up to the top of the machine. So that one's closed, that one's open, and that one's closed so no water goes over there. So then you just push this button one time, turns it on, and I'll start pumping that out and going into the drain. These machines, normally you're supposed to let it just recirculate and rinse them out every other day, but I'm finding this is a lot better for the fodder and a lot easier for the overall, is just make sure there's clean water in there every day. So back to rinsing our trays. Let's grab another extra tray, and please, if you end up getting new trays out and stuff, then please let me know so I can stay on top of running out of the inventory. I grabbed the second tray down because the top tray is dirty. So, and then there's a sticker in the holes right there. So we'll put that one there, and we've got 3 more, and I'll inspect those as we go. Let me wash my hands off a little bit so I don't get any other junk in the clean soaked wheat. And then you can always use your hand to push wheat. Let me turn the camera real quick. You can always push wheat up from here and help it stay up here while the water strains down to help you get more. And we're working on modifying it so the water could just drain out. But till then, this is what we gotta do. Go like so, get it cleaned off. This will be really close to 3 pounds all by itself. It's getting close. Nope, we're about 3 ounces shy. Got a little bit extra here. Okay, there we go. Clean that all out. You gotta be careful with the scale. If you pick it up from the top, sometimes it will jam. So then you'll have to sit there and play with it to get it to work again. And if for some reason you're the one here doing it and you can't get it to work, then we have the digital hanging scale that you can maybe modify some way to be able to weigh it on the digital scale. And you'll see that when we weigh the dry wheat. So I'm hoping I'm not missing or leaving anything out to help teach you guys how to do this. Like I said, just make sure those holes line up just so. 3 more. Okay. Okay. Oh, so close. About 2 ounces short. Got a handful. Not quite. A little bit more. Okay. And there we go. Just slight a hair over 3 pounds. Let's see if we come out with enough to do all 3 trays that way. So, just to re-clarify, we start off with 2 pounds per tray dry. And that will be explained a little bit here in a minute. Then by the time it soaks overnight, the 2 pounds gain 1 pound. And that's why we're putting 3 pounds in. But I found out that we usually have a little left over if we do exactly 3 pounds. Except for yesterday when I didn't soak it long enough. So that's why we do 3 pounds. We've got this 2x4 in the way, so we've got to make sure we adjust this line here. We just need to move the machine away from the wall a little bit, but all in due time. Oh, cricky. We got to check on this reservoir. You always want to keep your eye on it. You don't want it to go too low so that the pump is pumping air, and you don't want it to overflow. So, and sometimes you'll hear the noise of it, the pump pumping air. So next tray, make sure we inspect it, because if there's any big cracks, then we could end up putting water all over the floor. So getting low on this, so let's get some more up here on the bottom. And we have a strainer for right there, but right now I need to get my hands on a handle that will open up these water barrel things. I think I've seen them at Walmart, but just have to have the time to go and check on it. Because once that handle, we get that handle, then we can open and close that valve really easy. And drain out the water better. So that will help a whole lot. And then plus it takes money. So there we go, just a hair over. And it looks like we'll be pretty close, because I actually was doing stuff with the pigs yesterday afternoon. Yesterday morning / afternoon. So I stayed out here all night with the babies, hoping that none of them get squashed like our last litter. So I didn't actually get this grain soaking, I think, until about 2 o'clock before, or maybe it was closer to 3, because I ended up going home about I want to say 3, between 3 and 4. It was a long haul being out here all overnight. So anyways, so we might be just shy of 3 pounds for this last tray. And then sometimes I've ran into the problem that I probably have almost 4 to 8 ounces more for this last tray. So then I might go over there, take a handful, not a whole handful, but grab a little bit out and kind of just put it in those other trays that I just put in there today to kind of spread it out some. You don't necessarily have to stick your hand in there and spread it out, but if you just put it in there just so, then it should be fine. Okay, so we're at 1.5 pounds. I don't know. We'll see what happens here. Get this weed up here. So we might, I don't know. I'll stop guessing and just do it. Okay, we're at almost 2.5 pounds. Yep, I'm still here, Kai. Yes. What's up?
I'm gonna go to, Kurt's gonna come and get me to go to Rexford and go get my water heater.
Okay, cool.
So he's on his way now.
Cool. And while you're there, you might check into that. Go by helping one friend. You know where it is, right? In Rexford? Okay. Just an idea.
Alright.
That'd help a lot, huh?
Yeah, it would.
Okay, well take it easy. I'll probably be gone when you get back.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, thanks. Okay, so that was Kai, by the way. I don't know if you were able to see him or not. I wasn't trying to film him, but anyways. Ooh, we're almost to 3 pounds now, and there's a little bit left down here in this water. So, looks like we've skimmed by just right. But it's just the pain of getting the wheat up out of that water. Okay, here we go. 3 pounds, 1 ounce. Let me dump it in there, scrape it all out. Gotta go check on that reservoir real quick. I think I got the valve open just the right amount though, to help it from not overflowing or not getting too low too quick. Just right for the pump speed. And that's another thing, is you gotta figure out how much water that pump pumps in 5 minutes, so we could figure out the... Anyways, I'll stop talking about that because that's one of our soon-to-be modifications, and I don't want to confuse anybody. You gotta stay on task here of training you how to do this. So there's all 4 trays. Now that water's a lot cleaner. It's going a little bit lower, so I could probably turn up the water a little bit. And then we'll do the same thing to the other side. We'll have to turn off the blue valves on this side after we turn the pump off. Open those up. Move the water hose over to this side, but I'll show you that in a second. So let me turn this water up a little bit. You won't be able to see this because it's dark in here. Okay. I'll go get started on the soaking the dry stuff. Show you how to do that. I have this white bucket right here to be able to do that, and hang it on this hanging scale here. Let's put this bucket back down. You have to move it forward some because of the drain bucket underneath. Let's get the scooper out of there. Get all the weed off that. Let's hang it up there so it can start drying for the dry stuff. And we still got some remnants of wheat in here. So right now we'll rinse this bucket out. Whoa, lost you. I still gotta come up with a better way of mounting the camera. Okay, so get some water in there, and then be able to get all the little black rocks out of there and the leftover wheat. We just put it into there for now. Rinse it out again. All those little black dots are little rocks from the field, I believe. So. Leave that upside down just for a second, and then you can move it down a little bit and it'll hold it into place. But when you start moving it again, then just slide it back to the left just a hair, and it will make it so it doesn't catch on the end of the bucket underneath. So if you hang that on there like so before you push the power button, then it will zero out and not weigh the bucket. So now it's zeroed. So now we grab the scooper. Obviously it's still wet, but it's okay. Now what we're going to want, we have 8 trays. Each tray gets 2 pounds of dry, but when we measure it out after it's soaked, it's 3 pounds. So we have 8 trays times 2 is 16 pounds that we need in this bucket. And I made a black mark right there. So that's almost where the 16-pound mark is, but it's not exact. I hear some noise over there on that reservoir, so let's run over there and check on it. Make sure it's not overflowing. So that's what you always got to keep in mind. Okay, it's actually getting lower. I messed up. The hose isn't an ideal situation. It's kind of kinked coming through that wall. So I turned it up a little bit more. Come back and check on it as soon as I get 16 pounds of wheat in there. And it's getting cleaner and cleaner as we speak. I used to have to drain out those reservoirs, take it outside, spray it all out, clean it all up. But with this new way, it stays a lot cleaner. So it makes it a lot easier and faster. So we're at 10.75, 12.8. 15.55, so just a little bit more to get to the 16-pound mark. Half a pound, okay. Oh, there we go. It's actually a little over. Right there, 16.00. I don't know if the camera will let you see that, but there it is. So let me just take this bucket off the hook. 16 pounds of wheat. Bump that down with hair so it would spin. And then we just dump the wheat down the middle. I'm just going to set that bucket down there for tomorrow. And there we go. We got 16 pounds of wheat in there ready to rinse. Okay, let's turn the water on. Let's go check that reservoir first. Okay, it's getting fuller. It's pretty clean. So let's go ahead and turn the pump off. You just keep pushing that on, auto, off button. Okay, so if you want to fill it faster, you can just lift up on this hose a little bit. As you can hear, it doesn't have that kink anymore. So I'm going to put it back down. Then we'll unplug this pump to do the other side. And then we have to plug this pump in so it will start pumping out. Then we shut this one off and this one on, and then open this one up and shut this one off for this side. So that side's ready to go. And we'll go ahead and start pumping out this side. And now it's going. It's hard for you to hear because of the hose noise. Let's go ahead and do a little bit more. Okay, I'm just going to shut that off real quick so we don't have a mess. So now we'll have to move that hose over to this other side. It's a little short, so I use these white pipes to help hold it into place. And soon we'll just be done with these reservoirs, so life will be so much nicer. And there's some water left in the hose, so you gotta wait a second to let it drain out. And then I just slide this into this pipe like so, and then stick it down there. We have this water trough catcher there, so gotta be careful not to mess that up. That reservoir's getting pretty low, so let's go turn on the water so the pump don't suck air. That goes. So now we'll let that run its cycle a little bit and go finish rinsing and soaking this drain. Wash my hand off a little bit, get that stuff in there. This video is going to be long. So you turn on the water as high as you want. It'll help bring all the floaties up. Stick your hand in there to help push it around, get the floaties to the top. And And rinse them off your glove in here too. That would help. Originally we found a pipe out here at the ranch to do this, but there's rust inside, and so I went and picked up a new pipe so we didn't have to deal with the rust. And it also gave us a longer handle over here to be able to lift that up. So anyways, so that's why there's a new pipe in here if you've watched our previous videos. And like I said on previous videos, if anybody watching this knows where to get your hands on some of those thicker fodder trays for the sprouting, please email me and let me know. Because we're about ready to get this third machine going, and I'd really like some thicker trays. I believe I have enough to do the third machine with the thinner ones, but these are smaller ones. The thinner ones are breaking on us, so we're going to end up running out. And so we'll need to get our hands on more. And this process of rinsing the floaties out usually takes 3 to 4 rinses. So kind of wipe down the walls to get the floaties off the walls, and then kind of stir it up again. You don't want to use your hand. We have our stirring roaster stick over here that we used in the past. And you just take this and kind of like so. Put that over there. Turn that off, and then you do this again. Just remember, be careful how fast you turn the barrel, because you get water out like that. You get all over yourself. Or your shoes, and then you have wet shoes all day. Okay, this bucket's the barrel underneath is getting full of water, so I need to make sure I unplug the strainer. Like I showed you before, just grab a handful of the stuff off the strainer carefully, so we don't want to damage the strainer, and get all this floaty stuff down the drain and plug it up. So okay, so there we go. So there's that. And then, we don't want to put any of those floaties back in there, so let's rinse it off over here. And turn the water on again. And I try to wipe down all this over here. Get it back in there so we can